Tunisia is sliding further into political crisis after President Kais Saied fired several ministers and suspended parliament. In an address on Sunday, Saied dismissed head of government Hichem Mishishi in the wake of street protests over the government's poor handling of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The
President of the Republic will take charge of the executive power with the help of the government, which will be headed by a new leader appointed by the President of the Republic.
The move drew widespread celebrations. But opponents also took to the streets, calling the move a power grab. Tunisia has had 19,000 coronavirus deaths, one of the world's highest per capita rates. The young democracy was the cradle of the Arab Spring a decade ago, and has often been cited as the sole success story of the popular uprisings which overthrew dictators across the Arab world. A hug between two former arch-rivals. 10 years after their feud sparked a civil war, Ivory Coast's President Alassane Ouattara and ex-leader Laurent Gbagbo came face to face.
There was this crisis that created differences, but that is behind us. What is important is Ivory Coast. Peace for our country.
The meeting draws a line under their fallout in 2010, when Gbagbo, then president, rejected election results that handed the victory to his rival Ouattara. More than 3,000 people were killed in the ensuing clashes. Gbagbo was arrested and tried at the International Criminal Court in The Hague. He returned to Ivory Coast in June after the court acquitted him of war crimes.
So, I told the president, and you will agree with me, that I was their leader, and I am out today, and they are in prison. And I would like the president to do everything he can to free them.
The encounter raises hopes for a national reconciliation. Last year, Ouattara's decision to run for a third term in office sparked fresh deadly protests. Seven years after fleeing his team base in the Glasgow Commonwealth Games, Cameroonian weightlifter CYRILLE is making history. The 25-year-old is part of the refugee team at the Tokyo Olympics, the first such athlete based in Britain. Ahead of the Games, he was training in London.
I'm very looking forward to returning back to the international scene. Not just to represent myself, but to represent the about 80 million displaced people around the world. To represent the refugees, to represent the underprivileged.
Originally from Cameroon's capital Yaoundé, TCHATCHET represented his country in the 2014 Commonwealth Games in Scotland. While there, he learnt it wasn't safe for him to return home, though he doesn't speak about the details. The 19-year-old fled his team base with a backpack, some clothes, and weightlifting gear. For 2 months, he lived homeless in the English coastal city of Brighton. Several applications for asylum failed. Finally, in 2016, TCHATCHET obtained British residency. Today, he is qualified as a mental health nurse.
It hasn't rained for 3 years in this remote part of southern Madagascar. Villagers have no crops, humanitarian workers have little access. Bandits plunder what's left. When the first load of food aid finally got through in March last year, it was too late. 150 people had already died of hunger. Sinazi was almost one of them. Local officials scraped together some help for her and her 8 children.
We were really helpless, like skeletons. We couldn't even walk anymore. We could have collapsed just by tripping on a twig. My children cry, they cry so much, with all their hearts, with all their strength. This one has already fainted from crying so much.
Then there are the rural gangs. Sinazi's family lost nearly everything in repeated raids. Her daughter dresses in an old rice sack. Madagascar is the first country to experience famine caused by climate change, according to the UN. Hundreds of environmental migrants take shelter here in the regional capital, Abomvombe.
5 children and 3 women died. That's what I saw with my own eyes. They died of hunger.
Some are now resorting to drastic measures. They eat scraps of boiled leather picked up from the local shoemaker.
This is how we do it, like this. Look, we scrape it like this. Then we do this, but my knife is not that sharp. Move so you don't get hurt. Move out of the way. We cut it like this. But this is impossible to cut because it's hard as wood. You think we throw this away? Once it's boiled, we'll eat it straight away because we're so hungry.
But the shoemakers face the same grim reality.
We eat it as well. We cook it if we don't make any money, if no one is buying.
The government will build roads and a pipeline and bring in clean water, part of 140 projects to help the region get back on its feet.
Monsieur le Président Radziwiłł a donné aux ministres 3, 6.
President Radziwiłł has given the ministers 3, 6, 12 and 18-month targets to get results. He absolutely wants these projects to have a real impact on people within 18 months.
Soit un réel impact pour cette population. Donc, bien évidemment,
of course, we're talking about roads. We must consider the delays in road construction. We're talking about a pipeline. So that obviously is a big project that will start in January.
Effectivement, c'est un gros projet donc, qui démarrera en janvier.
Meanwhile, the World Food Programme is running out of money to help. It still needs $78 million to get through the next lean season, which starts in October.